One. All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Welcome so much, welcome everyone. And thank you so much for being here. My name is Otis Landerholm, and I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. I'm so happy to be here with you. Today I'm going to be asking the question, is DACA unconstitutional? All right? And what does the Constitution really have to say about it? And so we'll talk about that. There's a new decision that came out just yesterday. It's hot off the press. I was reading it this morning, and I want to share some of what I got from that, and I hope that it's a useful episode for everyone. So welcome to the Empowered Immigrant Live. Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. And so today our theme is DACA unconstitutional? All right? And my question for everybody is, hey, do you want to get a green card this year? Do you want to at least see what your options are this year? Do you want to see if there's a possible way to come out of the shadows for you or for a loved one this year? Because if so, go for it. All right? And I'd love to help you with that. My firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years, and we would love for your case to be one of them. All right? Now, I'm going to start with a small empowerment tip. Then we'll get into the topic, which is all about DACA this morning. And so if you have questions about the decision, if you have questions about your immigration case as I'm going, hey, please submit your questions. I'd love to answer them. I'll do my best to answer them live here today. Okay? So thanks for everybody for being here. My empowerment tip today is a little bit of a story, and you know, it's like know thyself, self-discovery, self-awareness, self-confidence. So on my first trip to China, I arrived to a new country. I was going to live there for 2 years, and I went to a convenience store. The very first thing after I was settled, I went to a little local convenience store. I wanted to get a small snack. I wanted to get a map of the city that I was in. And I went up to pay for it. All right? I handed the clerk my money, and the clerk would not take it. And she said something to me in Chinese, and I didn't understand what she was telling me. And there were other customers behind me, and there was a small line forming of people wanting to check out. And I didn't understand why my money wasn't working. And in that moment, I was like scared, nervous, anxious. It's like I wasn't understanding what was happening. So I put the stuff back. I left the store. I didn't buy anything. So for my first 3 days in China, new country, new language, new society, I couldn't purchase anything, right? I went without purchasing food. I had some crackers and stuff in my backpack that could sustain me, right, for a couple of days, but I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And eventually, I realized that the money that I had gotten from a bank in the United States was Taiwanese money, not Chinese money. Okay? And me being ignorant and young and I didn't even know that there was a difference, right? So I just didn't know. I thought that I had the correct type of money. But of course, the clerk in China couldn't accept it, right? It's little experiences like that. It's little experiences that come in traveling that brings us more awareness. It's like it opens our minds. We start to understand the world and ourselves differently. And that little experience, which I could tell you lots of different experiences, millions of them, that happened in each of my different trips throughout the world, but it's why I encourage anyone to travel. It's why I encourage anyone to go see, go explore. Yes, go immigrate. All right? Putting yourself in a completely new environment. It changes your outlook on life. It was critical for me to discover who I am. And going through some of those, call them silly, small situations, it's like I can have a new level of confidence because I've been through those. And I encourage absolutely everybody to take on travel and just see how it would improve your life. Okay? And if you're already here, you're an immigrant here, you know what I'm talking about and much more so, right? Because immigration is not easy. And we're about to talk about immigration not being easy when we talk about DACA, all right? So yesterday, so I'll switch gears. Thank you for listening to my empowerment tip. I want to encourage everybody out there to travel as a way to really, really improve your own life. All right? That's what it was for me, at least. So now I'm going to switch gears. I am wanting to talk about DACA. And, you know, DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, it was a program that began in 2012 under the Obama administration. And in 2021, a court found that it was, initially the order was that it violated the Administrative Procedures Act, the APA. That issue was appealed up and then eventually remanded. Now we're back in front of the judge again, and just yesterday, a federal judge in Texas, Andrew Hannon is the judge, decided or ruled that DACA, even with the new regulation updates that happened earlier, I want to say they came out in January of this year, even with the new regulatory updates that the Biden administration did, and that came out through the Department of Homeland Security, even with those, the DACA program, is still unlawful, according to Judge Hannon. And this time, he found that it wasn't just a violation of the APA, the Administrative Procedures Act, but instead it's a violation of the U.S. Constitution. Okay? So let me back up here. I hope everybody's with me. And if you're just tuning in, you know, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, like, hey, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. All right? DACA has, I have a love-hate relationship with the DACA program, right? I love that it exists, and I hate that it has to exist, all right? I wish Congress were to do something. In fact, the whole beginning of DACA, it came from the executive branch of the government's desire to do something because Congress had tried and tried and tried again to implement the DREAM Act, which has been brought up multiple times, over 10 times, in different propositions, different proposals, bills through Congress. They've failed to pass it, so the executive branch took some action there, okay? So let's talk about the Constitution a little bit, all right? And we'll talk about Law School 101, 3 branches of government, okay? 3 branches of government are created in the Constitution of the United States and many other countries throughout the world. But this is like built in to the U.S. Constitution, all right? Article 1, Article 2, Article 3 of the United States Constitution, okay? So Article 1 creates Congress. Congress has the power to create laws. Okay? Article 2 of the Constitution creates the executive branch. The executive branch has the power to implement the laws that Congress creates. All right? And other stuff. You know, wartime powers. It lists all of the executive branch's powers. Okay? Article 3 creates the judicial branch. All right? These are like the different articles of the United States Constitution. Check it out. Okay? Article 3 creates the judicial branch, and the judicial branch, the judiciary, has the power to step in whenever the other sides are breaking the rules or whenever there's a dispute between the branches. All right? And that's one of the things that the United States Supreme Court and the federal courts are empowered to do. And settle disputes between the several states and basically handle issues that arise under federal laws. Okay? So, so here, what's Judge Hannon saying? You know, that DACA violates the U.S. Constitution. Why is he saying that? Well, basically, what he's saying is that the executive branch was creating new laws, new programs, new benefits, which is not what the executive branch is supposed to do as defined by the Constitution. What Judge Hannon is saying is that Congress should have created the DACA program as we have it, not the executive branch. Okay? That's basically, in a sentence, that's basically what he's saying. All right? I'll show you. So he's got, this is a 40-page decision. All right? And it came out just last night, and I was reading it, and there's good stuff in here. It's going to be appealed all the way up. We all know that. But let me read to you what I think is like the key paragraph of this 40-page opinion that came out of the federal court in Texas yesterday. All right? I think these are the words that I think sum up the whole opinion. And you can disagree with me about this if you want. But I'm going to read this to you. This is one paragraph. Ready for it? All right? There are three very troubling aspects of the government's position. All right? Of this position is what the words say. First, and I'm reading on page 39 of the decision. You can follow it along with me if you want. All right? First, there are many actions Congress has not taken, perhaps with very good reasons. Its inaction, whether justifiable or not, does not give DHS, does not give the executive branch, DHS in this case, Department of Homeland Security in this case, carte blanche to take any action it wants. First, can't just create new laws, or create new programs, right? Second, DHS cites the 2012 DACA memorandum as authority for it to enact the final rule. But that memorandum was illegally enacted. Okay? All right? According to this opinion. Citing an illegally enacted policy as authority is hardly comforting. Third, the foregoing quote implies that DHS takes the position that it is empowered to do whatever it wants and that it's up to Congress to stop it. But this kind of reasoning simply turns the Constitution upside down. Okay? This is, so, in other words, what Judge Hannon is getting at here is that according to him, DACA was the executive branch's creating a new benefit, creating a new, they don't call it a new law, but that's basically what Hannon is saying that they've done, which the executive branch is not supposed to do under the Constitution. All right? And instead it's supposed to be with Congress. Now, we can all agree that Congress needs to fix this. All right? Like, call your congressperson. We can all agree that they need to act. They should have acted for years. But the problem with Congress and the problem with our current democracy is that there's so much disagreement that getting the number of people that would need to be in agreement to pass this as an actual law has proven incredibly difficult to do. So now the question is Judge Hannon and is his reasoning correct? Is he right? Okay? Well, I don't know. It's going to be appealed. It'll be appealed to the Fifth Circuit. My guess is they'll agree with him. All right? And then ultimately it'll go to the U.S. Supreme Court. Okay? And the Supreme Court will decide it. Maybe they will agree. Maybe they will agree that the DACA program was unconstitutional from the beginning. I hope they don't. I hope that the Supreme Court sees that Judge Hannon is calling what the executive branch did there as like creating a new law. And I hope that the U.S. Supreme Court disagrees with that and that they either find issues about standing, which I won't get into right now, or they find that, something, the executive branch has the authority to create discretion to decide who they're going to enforce immigration laws against. And the DACA program wasn't some new law. Instead, it was just the executive branch's acting out and creating a system for acting out on the laws that they do have the power to enforce, and they are charged with enforcing, and they're just trying to do it in a rational, humane, having their very own prosecutorial discretion, which the Supreme Court has agreed that they have, right? Mechanism. They've used DACA as a mechanism to enforce current immigration laws, not as a creation of a whole new, quote-unquote, law, program, whatever you want to call it. Okay? So what ends up happening with DACA, we will be seeing, right? This opinion will be appealed. It will be appealed again. And we're going to get it right back in front of the U.S. Supreme Court to decide, was the DACA program as implemented unconstitutional or not? And that's where we're at. Okay? That's where we're at. Now, clear as mud? Yeah, it's not intuitive. All right? It's not a straightforward argument. This is an argument that's going to be briefed, be litigated, be argued about, and ultimately we'll see what the U.S. Supreme Court decides about it. But the best way to really resolve it is if Congress would just resolve it already. Okay? Not the executive branch, Congress. Not the judicial branch, Congress. Congress clearly has the power to do something about it. Whether they'll do it or not, that's a different question. Okay? Now, some questions that are coming up, we're getting calls in from our clients. Can people who currently have DACA status still renew it? Yes. All right? Injunctions, the memo says, right, the remaining provisions of that injunction order remain intact. All right? To be clear, neither this order nor the accompanying supplemental injunction requires DHS or the Department of Justice to make any immigration, deportation, or criminal action against any DACA recipient, applicant, or any other individual that would otherwise not be taken. So, this is, it doesn't change the status. It doesn't change the situation. We're still in pending litigation mode. All right? So yes, if you have current DACA status, you can still renew it. You should still renew it. But can people who would have been eligible but haven't ever applied, or who are outside of DACA status, can they renew it or apply newly? No, they can't. They won't be eligible. New initial applicants will not be approvable as long as the litigation continues pending and until really the U.S. Supreme Court decides this. Can people who had DACA travel on advanced parole and re-enter the U.S.? Well, we haven't seen any updated regulations or anything that says to the contrary. My belief is that, yes, there is still that opportunity. You can still do that, okay? Absent any other change to that, there's nothing in this that makes me suspect or think otherwise. All right? That's all I got for today. I don't see that we've received any specific questions about cases, so that's fine. I hope this was useful. I hope it was helpful. Thanks to everybody on whatever platform you're on for being here. I know this is disappointing, all right? I see this, I read this, it's like, gosh, this is just so disappointing. You know, I want immigration laws to open up. I want our immigration policy as a country to wake up, all right? We need to value the contribution that immigrants are to our society. We need to change our immigration laws so that they are more welcoming, so that they understand the value and the contribution that immigrants make and that immigrants are to our society. It's like we gotta wake up, people. We gotta wake up. And if you're a U.S. citizen watching this, you gotta be careful about who you vote for. And I'm not talking president. I'm talking Congress. We've got to elect out some of these bad, old Congress people that don't understand the value of immigrants to our society. And we've got to elect and push for Congress people who understand immigration law and who are willing to vote to actually change it. Because that's the way to fix this issue and all of the other very frustrating immigration issues that are currently on the table. We've got to get Congress to a place where they understand immigration law and are willing to vote to change it, because that's really what this country needs. All right? Those are my opinions. So thank you all so much for being here. That's all we got for today. I'll do this episode shortly in Spanish. If you still have a question, hey, please submit it. The best way to see that is to subscribe to our channel in YouTube, all right? And to click the notifications bell. When you do that, you can receive a notification whenever we upload an additional video with legal news, updates, things of that nature. And as always, if you have an immigration case, if you have questions about your immigration case, hey, please give us a call. We are here to help. We would love to help. All right? Thanks a lot, everybody. My name is Otis Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream, and I will see you on our next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Take care. Thanks a lot.